Welcome to the Pump Fake, everybody. Championship weekend preview of the Pump Fake. Jared Bailey joined by Rudy enthusiast Matt Verderam. How you doing, buddy?
I'm good. That's true. I am the enthusiast of that. How are you?
I've been meaning to bring that up with you for like the past month. I just keep forgetting because you told me to go straight to hell because I said I wasn't a fan of Rudy.
Listen, can't help it. Some people are stupid. It's not your fault. More than that way. Can't help it.
It's just, yeah. I mean, I've seen it. Obviously, it's just it wasn't for me.
Oh, it's a great human interest story. It's not really.
Oh, sure, yeah. I think it was just the nothing against the actor per se. I just what's the actor's name who plays Rudy? Yeah, the guy from Lord of the Rings. That I shouldn't. Sean Astin shouldn't only be known as Guy from Lord of the Rings, but that's what I've always known him as.
Lord of the Rings sucks. Rudy's an actual.
Okay, so I'm not a big fantasy person, but I enjoyed Lord of the Rings when I was growing up.
It's all terrible. That Harry Potter.
I've only seen the first two Harry Potter movies.
Star Wars, it's all garbage.
We can agree for the most part on that. I'm not big into any most of the
Battlestar Galactica. You're all nerds.
Mike Freeman's a big Star Trek guy.
It's great. Listen, I like Mike. He does great work, but it's a terrible thing.
You and I were talking in the lobby about how much this game has been talked about, Chiefs Bengals, but it is our civic duty to discuss it. I told you I was going to try to think of a question that you haven't been asked yet.
Good luck.
And I'm going to do my damnedest. What did you think of the mayor of Cincinnati?
That was weird.
That was very weird.
Look, man, you're a politician. Why don't you stick to your politics? And I don't mind saying that because I've been told to stick to sports 8,000 times in my life. Look, and by the way, if you don't want to stick to politics and you want to be that guy, jump in. Hey, man, listen. You want to do some corny hoot-a thing? Go nuts. I'm not telling you to do that. You want to have a friendly wager with the mayor of Kansas City? God knows you wouldn't be the first guy to do that. Fine, go ahead. You start doing stuff about who's the father of Patrick Mahomes. It's weird. It's really weird. It's corny, number one. It's really strange, number two. I got to tell you, you know what? I am a big believer that trash talk a lot of times is extremely overrated. These guys, they don't care. You think it's 2nd and 8, somebody's in a huddle going, hey, remember what he said? Nobody's doing that. I will tell you this. The Chiefs are going to be higher than shit for this football game. I mean, after all this stuff with Burrowhead and the mayor and last year, listen, the Bengals earned it, but they're smoking cigars and lighting up this pack. And I'm telling you, I don't know if it's going to mean the Chiefs are going to win the game. They're going to be higher than all get out for this football game. It is going to be that on top of everything going on with Mahomes, and they're back in their own building. And of course, now it's been renamed Burrowhead. It is. The Bengals are talking an awful lot for a team that has never won a ring, ever. They deserve to talk all they want about Kansas City. They've beaten them 3 times in a row. Hell, I'm picking the Bengals to win the game. But if I was a fan of the Bengals, I'd be like, why? Just tone it down. It never worked out well when you talked a bunch of crap about Michael Jordan. Just saying.
Yeah, that is something that has been very noticeable, is that Cincinnati's just nonstop jawing since they've won this past. I mean, more power to you, I guess, but I don't know. This feels like something that could be very memeable by the end of Sunday if they don't win.
If they lose that game, the Chiefs are going to have a field day with them on social media.
Yeah.
Both the team account, the players, they are going to have a field day with Cincinnati if they win this game. Now, look, that all said, the game's not played back and forth. It's about being on the field. But the one thing I do find interesting about this, the Bengals have forever been this team, certainly the last couple of years with Burrow, and rightfully so, I might add, where they've been the underdog mentality, right? It's always been like us against the world. We got the big chip on our shoulder. Nobody believes in us. Everybody thinks about the Chiefs. Everybody thinks about the Bills. Nobody cares about little old Cincinnati. And you know what? They're 100% right to feel that way. That has been the case until they beat the Bills on Sunday. And Mahomes twisted his ankle, or sprained his ankle, as it were. And then it went from they're this underdog to everybody and their mother is picking Cincinnati to win this football game. And the Bengals just can't stop talking. The Cincinnati mayor can't stop talking. Like, all these people just are like going and go. And now all of a sudden the Chiefs, in a really odd twist of fate, are somehow like this plucky underdog in their own building. Like, that is the one thing. The Bengals always have this aggression from like, we're the underdog. And I know technically on the lines are the underdog right now by 1.5. They were the favorite, now they're the dog. But nobody in actuality thinks they're an underdog in this game. It's very interesting to see how mentally that's going to play out, because they're always the team that it's like, we're gonna prove something. Look, all this dumb crap that they've been talking about with, the refunds, you got to get your refunds. They were selling tickets to play Jacksonville. Like, listen, God, and I'm not knocking. Like, God bless Jack Taylor, and he can get them pissed about it. That's all fine and well. But like, let's be honest about something. They were also selling tickets for an AFC Championship game that didn't materialize. I just think if you're Cincinnati, this is not the way you want to go in there. Just infuriating everybody involved, and then personally shooting at Mahomes. Like, not the greatest thing in the world to do when you're missing 3 offensive linemen in your top corner going into this football game. We'll see.
Yeah, you mentioned the spread on this. Like, it's gone so. We haven't seen lines move like this since Major League Baseball locker rooms in the 1980s. Boom! Baseball cocaine joke.
Nice.
Snuck it in there. Thank you very much.
Well played.
Thank you very much.
Mm-hmm.
JP Acosta was on earlier in the week, and he brought up a tremendous stat. Patrick Mahomes' EPA per dropback after he sprained his ankle would have been second in the NFL, behind only Patrick Mahomes with 2 healthy ankles.
Correct.
He was still playing out of this world.
I mean, it's the same thing. Listen, that's why, like, everybody's going so nuts about Mahomes this week. This game is not going to be about him. I would be shocked if it is. This game, unless he just goes Terminator and throws for like 5 touchdowns or something, then it's not him. If the Chiefs are going to win or lose this game based on their lines, their offensive line is really good, but it's struggled at times against Cincinnati on the tackles. Defensively, the Chiefs only have 2 sacks in the last 2 games combined against Cincinnati.
Jeez.
Now, look, you got Chris Jones walking out of his presser today telling everybody he'll see him at Burrowhead on Sunday, and he's going against the backup guard, Frank Clark, who's 4th all-time in sacks in the playoffs. If the Chiefs told every regular season game, if they told Frank Clark it was a playoff game, he'd be a first-ballot Hall of Famer. He's going against the backup tackle. They've got Karlaftis, who has 6 sacks in his last 8 games, going against a backup tackle. Like, this could be and they also have Carlos Dunlap as well, and some other Mike Dana, who's played well. Like, this game's going to be determined by those guys. If they get home up front and they get pressure and they sack Burrow, they're going to win the game. They'll win the football game. They've lost 3 games in a row, and the Bengals, deservedly so, get full marks for it. The Chiefs have led in every 4th quarter. Like, it's not like the Chiefs have been blown out in these games. The Chiefs have just absolutely short-circuited in these football games, partially because the Bengals are very good. I think the biggest key for the Chiefs is up front and not turning the ball over. If they win those 2 areas, they'll win the game. And if they don't, they'll lose. Yeah,
I mean, you go back to last week against Buffalo, where Jackson Carman played really well, Cordell Volson played really well. Right. This is a very different defensive line, though. I mean, Buffalo doesn't have a Chris Jones. Buffalo didn't have a Frank Clark. And that was a talking point that you and I had going into that was, okay, Von Miller isn't there. Let's see what Russo and Basham can do. And Burrow stood there all day and just nickel and dimed him to death. I rewatched some of it because there was a play that really stood out to me in that game where it was a 3rd down. I think Buffalo sent 4, and they had Milano in the middle as a spy. They got to Burrow, who had to dump off to. It was either Pirine or Mixon. And Milano just made the tackle. Was 4th down. And that was one of the few plays that Buffalo made all day on defense.
Right.
You had tweeted out Burrow's passing chart from the Week 13 game. And the reason I brought that previous play up is because he just carved up the middle, like short middle stuff. And Nick Bolton, Willie Gay, it's going to be a big day for them too. Not only the Chiefs defensive line, but they need big days out of those two.
I have a very sneaking suspicion in this game that they're going to take one of them off the field and they're going to put their third safety on the field. And they're just going to say, if you're going to throw into it, it's dime the whole game. And it's going to be some dollar too. You're going to get 7 DBs, 6 DBs. We're going to drop everybody. If you want to run the ball for 5 yards a clip, go for it. Go nuts. Don't care. The one thing I think that, and again, I'll preface this by saying I ain't picking Cincinnati to win this football game because I think they deserve to get the respect since they've beaten them 3 times in a row.
Yeah.
The one thing I think people are making a mistake about in this football game is this idea that somehow Buffalo, that's a referendum on how this game is going to go. And I do not think that's the way this game is going to get played out. Because I'm going to tell you something right now. The Bills' defensive line without Von Miller stinks out loud. Rousseau is the only guy worth the damn on that front. And the next person says to me, what about Ed Oliver? What about Ed Oliver? Who in 4 years has 14 sacks and 5 of them came as a rookie. Ed Oliver's a rotational defensive lineman on the Chiefs. He is. He's not starting over Chris Jones. And I'll tell you right now, I know a lot of people aren't familiar with him. He's not starting over Colin Saunders. He's not. Believe me. AJ Epinesa is maybe the 4th edge rusher on the Chiefs. It's not.
And these are high draft capital that they invested in these guys. Oliver was the 8th or 9th overall pick. Epinesa was an early round pick. Rousseau, Basham, these are all guys that they have.
Rousseau can play. Basham's been.
Rousseau's good, yeah, sure, but these are all big guys that they invested in, and only one of them has really paid off in the way that they were hoping.
Epinesa's a guy. Oliver's a player, but he's not. You're not game planning around at Oliver.
Sure,
he's a guy. He's fine. He's okay. He's a good. He's a solid.
He's a starting defensive tackle.
Yeah, he's fine. But when they lost Miller, that entire thing went to hell. I mean, they couldn't get pressure. Milano and Edmonds are terrific in coverage and all that, but the Bills' defense is not that scary. I mean, look at the last 3 years in the playoffs. What has happened to the Bills? Giving up 27 points, and let's face it, if the Bengals wanted to score more than they would have. They gave up 42 last year, getting bounced by Kansas City. And the year prior to that, they gave up 38. Their defense has gotten and they have 31 to Skylar Thompson. They have gotten roasted in these games in the playoffs over and over and over. The one thing I will say for the Chiefs in this game, win or lose, they're not going to be passive. If there's one thing about Spagnuolo, they will come after Cincinnati in this game. Now, some of that might be blitzing, some of it might be sim pressure, some of that might be mugging up A gaps so they can get a one-on-one. If you go back and look at that Week 13 game of the Chiefs, they sat in a static, boring zone all game long. And I am not one often to say, well, I think they were trying to show stuff. The only takeaway I have from that game is the Chiefs were like, look, we're not showing you anything in this game. Nothing. It's the only explanation for the way that they played. They didn't play like that in one game all year, the whole rest of the year. They sat in cover 2 and cover 2 man and the occasional quarters coverage. Their blitzes, which are known to be exotic with Spagnuolo, were extremely vanilla, like stuff you'd see in a preseason game. I mean, they did nothing. I'm not saying they want to win the game. Certainly wanted to win the game. But it was very obvious they were not going to dial it up in that football game for whatever the reason. And I think in this game, they're going to, pardon the term, they're going to empty the clip in this game. I mean, they're going to bring everything they've got because they have to win this game.
Flip sides of the ball, though, because Cincinnati's defense was incredible against the Bills. A lot of simulated pressures. Mike Hilton had the game of his life. Bills didn't have any sort of answer for him coming on these delayed pressures. He had that hit on Josh Allen that forced the ball loose. I think it was ruled an incomplete pass afterwards. But he was playing everywhere. I'm very interested to see how they treat sending pressure like that against Mahomes, just because of obviously the ankle stuff. And I'm curious to see how Bieniemy and Andy Reid how they're going to treat him and what what his limitations are going to be.
I'm in the minority maybe a little bit with this. I don't think they're going to treat him any differently.
No?
No, I mean maybe they'll limit some rollout stuff or whatever, but I don't think they're going to treat him much differently. And Mahomes is out of his mind. Look, he was clearly hurt in that Jacksonville the second half of that game. You mentioned his EPA in the second half of the game. his touchdown pass came in a jump pass. Like it,
It looked
I
like
don't care. I'm going to throw it anyway. And the first series when he came back, they had a 3rd and 1, and he took off running for a first down. Like it's just, I don't think he's going to care, man. He's got that mentality of like, you're going to have to drag me off the field. He is just, I mean, anyone watching that game saw him when they told me he had to come out of the game.
Oh yeah,
He went nuts. I just do not think the Bengals are going to have to basically kill him to get him off the field. I don't think he's coming out. I don't think he's going to be very limited. They're going to do what they want to do off. I think the Chiefs are going to move the football. They've always moved the ball against Cincinnati. I mean, even when they lose, they've scored a lot of points. Their problem's been defensively. I don't think they're going to limit. I think they might run the ball a little bit more in this game, but I think that would have happened even if Mahomes was 100%. I think that's just kind of the way they need to play this football game. The worst yards per carry they've had against the Bengals in these 3 losses is 5.5.
Jesus.
They get away from it. They have run Cincinnati over. And part of that is by design by the Bengals. They play, 3 guys up front, 4 guys up front. They don't run blitz. The Chiefs have run them over when they've wanted to. I think you might see more 2 tight ends, 3 tight ends, 2 tight ends, and 2 running backs. I think the Chiefs might just go heavy because it mitigates what Mike Hilton can do as a slot blitzer. It also forces Anarumo to play more predictable defenses. You got to get in base. You got to get bigger. You can't dial up as much stuff. It becomes much harder to play a whole lot of weird coverages like that. You kind of are forced to it is what it is. It's a phone booth now. And oh, by the way, if they play action, they have Travis Kelce now and a linebacker. Like it becomes harder. And if you're on a Anarumo, you could say, well, if they go 2 personnel, I'm still going to sit in nickel because I'm going to treat Kelce like a running back. Okay, but what if they run? Or you can treat him like a receiver. But then if they run, they have numbers on you. So it's a weird – I remember the Pats doing that to the Chiefs in the 2018 AFC Championship game. The whole year, the Chiefs couldn't stop anybody who went in a heavy personnel. And the Colts played them the week prior. They didn't even try to do it. They got killed. Belichick, I'll never forget it. They got the ball to start the game, and Belichick immediately came out with 2 backs and 2 tight ends. And I was like, all right, well, he's Bill Belichick for a reason. Here it comes. He sat in that all night. I mean, he just was like, I don't care. This is what you're not good at. We'll see what happens. I am fascinated by the game.
Last week, I mean, Kansas City sat in a lot of 12 and 13 where they had Justin Watson and Noah Gray.
Yep.
And it paid dividends. Now, Bengals linebackers are better than Jacksonville's linebackers, but Travis Kelce had a big day. He had 18 targets against Jacksonville. I don't think we're going to see that many and 14 catches for Travis Kelce. I think it's going to be, I think some X factors are going to be Isaiah Pacheco because he had a very big game specifically on the Chad Henne drive. Kadarius Toney, who's becoming by week one of my favorite players to watch in the game. I'm excited to see kind of these counter punches from both Bieniemy and Reed and what Lou Anarumo does for Cincinnati's defense. It's going to be a fun game. Go ahead if you had anything.
No, go for it.
We can move on to the NFC title game. I assume you've talked a little bit less about this game. Maybe I'm wrong.
I've talked less about this game. Yes.
Okay, glad to hear. I'm seeing people just like have a debate. Like, I don't know, man. I think Purdy's better than Jalen Hurts. And I'm just like, I hope the next
meeting. Real people with that commentary.
Yeah, like there's been debates on it with on your typical talk shows with talking heads and whatnot saying, oh, I don't know, man. I think that there's a real argument to be made here that Purdy's better than Hurts. And it's when stuff like that happens where I'm just like, I hope the next meteor hits us. Like, what have we come to as a society when it's from the, the networks and the people that you'd expect them to be from. But the fact that this is even getting any sort of attention, and 49ers fans, for the most part on Twitter, starting the debate and whatnot, which I get it. It's Twitter, it's whatever. But we've said it, I feel like it's gradually throughout the week. Like, okay, this is Purdy's hardest test. This is going to be Purdy's hardest test. This is by far the toughest test that the 49ers have faced since he's taken over.
Yeah. I mean, look, man, the problem with Purdy, not him, but the conversation about him is It's kind of like the Lamar Jackson conversation. Like nobody can ever just have an honest conversation about it. It's got to be either you're all in on Brock Purdy or he's terrible and he's a fraud and like God forbid you even discuss it. I mean, Brock Purdy's fine. Like Brock Purdy's just like he's fine. Now maybe he becomes much more than that. Like maybe he turns into a great player.
Yeah.
Right now, he's a guy. Like he's surrounded by an unbelievable amount of talent, a really good coach, an all-world defense. So Brock Purdy can kind of just be a guy right now, and it works. The problem is he's about to face a team every bit as talented as his team is, and they have the second team All-Pro at quarterback, and Hurts is miles better than Brock Purdy. Look, of the two games this weekend, I think one of them's a coin flip. I think the other one has a chance to get out of hand. I just don't see the Niners winning this football game unless they rush for like 200 yards. I don't see it.
And against that Eagles defense, I mean, that's not it's not an easy task.
No, and it's like, look, man, I get it. Like the Eagles have been worse against the run and all this stuff. That's fine. I mean, they lost one game with Hurts all year. I mean, they're not. To me, the Eagles are the best team in the NFL. Now, against an AFC team, how do they match up? I don't know. Because here's the one dirty secret with the Eagles. Have you ever sat down and looked at who they've played at quarterback this season?
Dude, it's been a lot of.
I mean, it's a who's who of just complete garbage.
Davis Mills and.
Oh, it's ridiculous. And he's like the fifth best guy they faced. I mean, it's like, Dak, who scored 40 on him, and then Jared Goff, who lit him up in week one. Cousins on a Monday night. That doesn't even count because it's a Monday night game with Cousins.
Did they play Cooper Rush once when he was in
Davis Webb, Daniel.
I forgot.
Heineke, your guy Carson Wentz, Andy Dalton, Kyler Murray, Kenny Pickett. I mean, it's just on and on and on. So, but they face Brock Purdy this week, so you don't even get an answer to that. Now against Burrow or Mahomes, that might be a whole different deal. That might be a 42 burger. I have no idea, but. Against Purdy, I just don't see it. Like, I don't see the Niners lighting them up. The Eagles had 68 sacks during the regular season, I believe it was. Although I think that actually got changed recently to 70.
Right.
Then, yeah.
I'll have to look up the number. I know it was like some astronomical number.
Niners had 44, and Bosa had 18 and a half of them. So, like, guess what? The Eagles, who have a great offensive line, if they stop Bosa, good night. Because the one dirty secret about San Francisco is, well, they can't cover anybody on the outside. Like, they are not a good coverage. Travarius Ward, take it from somebody who watched every snap of his career. He's a good corner. He's a number 2 corner. Like, he's fine. And look, he's a good player. Chiefs wanted to retain him. They aggressively tried to retain him. The Niners outbid him. They got to a point where the Chiefs felt like it was no longer feasible financially. He's a good player, but he's not a great player. Like, it's not like you're putting him out there and going, all right, well, whoever's on him. We can't see went out there, hung 44 on them, and they missed a field goal and turned the ball over twice. Like, I think the Eagles are the significantly better team in this game. I do. And I think it starts at quarterback.
Yeah, we've seen, Seattle and Dallas both tried picking on their corner, specifically Demo Lenore, who ended up with interceptions in consecutive games for the 49ers. This has the potential to be a very big A.J. Brown game, because if the Eagles' ground game gets going and they start being able to do play action stuff, and you're going to see A.J. Brown one-on-one, and Jalen's going to toss up a go ball, 50-50 ball, and A.J. Brown, those are more or less 70-30 balls with him, especially with whomever the 49ers are going to put on him. I agree with you. I think it could get out of hand, but only one way. I don't see a situation where the 49ers run away with this game. Unless something just torrential happens for the Eagles. But I don't see scenario. It's either going to be close where I still think the Eagles win. I started the week saying I think the 49ers will win. I think I was just kind of riding a high from the Dallas game. But the Eagles are just as bit as talented as you said. Maybe even a little bit more, especially on the defensive side of the ball.
Who are you taking in both games? You had the Eagles and who? Cincy?
At the beginning of the week, I would have said the Bengals, but the fact that everybody is picking Cincinnati and all this talk, like, I feel like I should just pick the Chiefs, because anytime you have everybody like so unanimous on a team, very rarely do they end up being the victor.
I got to tell you, as the week has gone on, this game has gotten more and more fascinating. Like, early in the week, I'm like, all right, Mahomes is going to be limited, and the Chiefs always lose to him. And you got to give credit where it's due. The Bengals won every one of those games. You got to give that credit. And then as this week's gone on, and it's like, hey man, Burrowhead. Like, look, I obviously, as you know, not only grew up fan of the Chiefs, but I cover the league, and I have a lot of people, close to that team because I grew up covering that team, even in this business. I covered them for Arrowhead Pride, Arrowhead Addict. Like, I've got to know people in the organization. When I tell you that team, just knowing the personality of some of the guys in that organization, when I tell you that team's going to be higher than shit for this football game, like, I don't know if they're going to win. I'm not saying that. They are going to want to kill Cincinnati in this football game. I don't know if they're going to do it. Wanting to do something and doing it are two different things. Cincinnati's a great team. But I got to tell you, the Bengals, and I know people say, like, oh, it was the AFC title game. They got to want to win anyway. Yeah, I get all that. But, like, you're just feeding into all this stuff. Like, why is it that it matters for the Bengals? And the Bengals beat the Bills, and everybody's like, it's the tickets. It's us. And then, like, the Bengals talk crap, like, nonstop all week long, or their mayor does it. Now, all of a sudden, it's like, doesn't matter anyway. Yeah, okay, look. It matters or it doesn't. I don't think it matters between the lines. I do think it matters in terms of emotion going into the football game. If I were a Bengals fan, I'd be a little worried about, are they going to be a little flat going into this thing? Like, all this stuff all week long has been about, hey, what are you guys saying about Burrowhead? What's going on with that? What is going on? The Chiefs are just being asked about it, and, like, they're not really feeding back into it. But look, I also tell you this. I have been to games at that stadium. It is loud anyway. If the Bengals allow the Chiefs to get a lead in that game early, I know they've come back from deficits. I get it. I would never count them out. That place is going to come down at the studs. Like, it's going to. I am picking Cincy because I respect the fact they've beaten them. I do think if the Chiefs play their best game, they will win the football game, regardless of what Cincinnati does. I do think they would win, but they've got to play their best game. And in those 3 games against the Bengals, they've done it for a half, 2.5 quarters. Haven't done it. They've got to actually put it together.
Kyle Brandt tweeted out a video today from a game in 1990. I want to say,
it's famous in Chiefs circles.
Yeah. The game having to be paused twice because of crowd noise.
That's not the only time it happened.
Oh yeah.
Oh, it's happened there a few times. Oh yeah.
That's a bucket list destination for me. I need to get to a game in Arrowhead at some point in my life.
It is. Look, I've covered games. I'm trying to think. Buffalo. I will say Buffalo is a great venue for a game.
I'm close enough to Buffalo where I'm going to a Buffalo game next year.
Buffalo's nuts. Buffalo's a great environment. New England's okay. New England. I went to a handful of games to cover there, like when they were already in the midst of winning a bunch of titles, and it was like it almost became boring for them to win a game in the regular season. So the crowd would kind of pick its spots. I've been to Atlanta, I've been to LA, I've been to.
You couldn't pay me to go to Gillette this coming year, though. I'm good.
Yeah, I wouldn't. Watch Mac Jones.
Yeah, I was gonna say watch. No.
I mean, Giants. I actually have not been to MetLife, but I've been to the old Giants stadium a bunch of times. I mean, the Giants fans are not Jeff fans or whatever. Giants fans are pretty intense. But no, this game. I mean, it's just going to be a lot of things feeding into it all at once. It's all this disrespect all week long, and it's Mahomes. Like, if Mahomes genuinely feels good, I think the Chiefs should play action on the first play of the game and have him throw a bomb down the field. Like, he ever hit on that, they'd tear the place down. So there's just a lot of weird stuff. But I honestly think all the stuff that we've been talking about to the side, the biggest thing is going to be that Chiefs defensive line. It's the second in the league in sacks this year. It's 55. Can the Bengals block them? The next person who says to me, they got 55 sacks, they're gonna roll them. Chiefs have struggled against them in previous years. But also the same person who says to me, well, look what they did against the Bills. I don't give a rat's ass what they did against the Bills. The Bills' best pass rusher in that game, but the 4th best guy in the Chiefs. I don't want to. Don't waste my time with that. I'm fascinated to see how this game plays out. I think it's going to be a great game. I do. I don't know if the NFC one will be. I think the AFC one will be.
I hope so. They gave that one the primetime slot, which I was a little bit surprised about. Like that's the one that should have it. What's up?
They alternate the AFC and NFC every year.
Really?
Yep.
Man, would you look at that? You learn something new every day.
There you go. By the way, am I going to be? Am I going to be seeing you on Monday at Mobile?
Yeah. I'll be flying into Pensacola. Yeah, flying into Pensacola, and then we're taking a road trip.
Yeah, I hadn't heard that. I wasn't sure.
Yeah, no, I'll be there.
Okay. All right.
What's the music of choice? You know what? I've thought about this for the past like 3 days. I cannot pinpoint the music that you listen to.
I usually don't really listen to it. I just drive.
The-
I'll listen to podcasts or whatever if it's a long drive. Otherwise, I just kind of sit there. Talk to. I mean, if I was in the car by myself, I just turn my phone on and just put it on shuffle or something.
Mm.
But usually, if I'm sitting in the car, because it's gonna be you, me, and like Matt Lombardo. So
Lombardo's gonna be there too.
it's gonna be full boat.
Oh,
And then we get the Mobile, and I gotta
oh
find.
God damn it! That means I'm sitting in the back.
I gotta find. Yeah, beat him to the car. I gotta find a mutual friend of ours, and I'm sure of the program, Mike Tanier, who we share. I mean, not sharing a hotel room. We always stay at the same hotel.
Same hotel.
So we'll have to get together, and then I'll tell you right now, I'm going to the Lodi Beer Garden because I'm getting a nice big beer, and I love their burgers. So I am going to load up.
Tanir's already told me, he's like, oh, there's this rib place you got to go to. We'll go get you filled up on. I'm like, dude.
Oh, I know what he's talking about. We go there every year.
Yeah. He was talking about that.
Daniel and I are always like, we pretty much have every meal together. So I know we're going to go.
Ed Holm had told me about a place that he had wanted to go. Like, there's a bunch of mutual friends that I'm looking forward to seeing his. I love Ed Holm.
Ed Holm is the only person I know who makes me feel short.
How tall is Ed Holm?
He's got to be 6'5", 6'6".
Really?
He's got to be. Yeah, he's big.
I didn't pinpoint him as a tall guy.
Not a heavy, but just tall. He's a big guy.
Raven's 6'5".
I'm sure Thor will be down there. I'll have to shoot him a text.
I hate having tall friends. How tall are you?
6'2".
Jesus Christ. Raven's 6'5". Apparently Ed Holm's 6'6".
Yeah, Raven is
Raven's a tree.
Man,
he is ginormous.
Yeah.
Thor's not small either.
Who?
Thor.
Oh yeah, Thor. No, he's not small.
This
is it. No, I'm looking forward to it, man. I mean, hell, here it's like 15 degrees and it's snowing. So I'm looking forward to getting down there. It's going to rain, I think, the entire week, but I'm still looking forward to getting down there.
I looked at the forecast. Tuesday through Thursday, it just said clouds.
Yeah, that's good.
So hopefully it stays that way. I don't want it to be too hot though, because I want to be able to like wear clothes I'm comfortable in.
Big 70.
That should be okay.
I will tell you this though, just from experience, it's right on the water. It's going to feel like 60.
Yeah, I was going to say the stadium is very windy.
So it's going to feel like 60. I'm looking forward to it. Get down there. I mean, travel down there Monday through Thursday, come home for 3 days, go to the Super Bowl for a week, come back, try to regroup for 2 weeks, and then go to Indianapolis for the Combine.
I'm looking forward to that a lot. That's going to be fun.
Have you ever gone to the Combine?
This will be my first Combine.
You will enjoy it. That is a lot of fun. Of all the trips, with due respect to Mobile and the Super Bowl, my favorite is going to the Combine. That is.
You and Kinnear have said the same thing about that.
It's just fun, man. It's just a good time. It's a great city.
I was going to say Indianapolis has gotten a lot of good rapport apparently, so I'm looking forward to going.
Yeah, Indy's just the way they put it all together. It's just a good. In fact, I literally just saw that the event credential thing opened up, so I'm gonna have to apply right now.
Oh man, perfect timing. I will do the same.
But yeah, man, it's just a good. It's just a really good time. It's just a really well put together event. A lot content wise, a lot reporting wise. You can get it. I tell you though, it's the only place I ever like. I do not stay out very late. I'm to the point in my life. I'm 34. I got 2 kids. I'm done. I'm not closing any bars down, except in Indianapolis, where whatever the reason, I always end up running into people that I hang out with, like 1, 2, and then I run into other people, and then it's like 5:30 in the morning. I got to sleep for an hour and then shower and shave before the presser. It's a good time.
Yeah, the last time I was in Mobile, like that's kind of what the routine was leaving at like 2:30 or 3, get back, wake up, go back to the stadium, do my write-ups, go out and kind of repeat the process. So that'll be fun. I'm looking forward to doing that again. I owe Ryan Edwards. Apparently you can't get a what the hell beer does he like? It's a Boston beer. It might be some sort of Sam Adams thing.
I know.
Yeah, apparently you can't get them in Colorado. So every time that he's here, he just loads up on them. So I told him that I'd get him some. I'm just looking forward to seeing everybody. You know, we've known each other, you and I, for like 5 years. Never seen you in person.
Is that true?
Yeah. Because the only year that I went to Mobile, you didn't go that year because it was the
COVID year. Yeah. Yeah. I guess that's true. Okay.
And if only Kurt didn't get a big boy job with his favorite team, he'd be going too.
Where are you staying? Me,
Eric Crocker and a few others from Niners Nation got an Airbnb. So
there you go.
All taken care of. I'm looking forward to that. That'll be nice. Airbnbs are, I love Airbnbs.
Yeah, I think a lot of the fan side of the team is doing that for the Super Bowl. Though I'm going. I'm big time. I'm not really. My dad is actually going to be down at Super Bowl week, just because he loves to bird watch, and apparently Arizona is a big place for that. So he was like, "Oh, what the hell? I'll just go down there." And so he got.
Your dad just flying down to Arizona?
Yeah, he's going to be there for 2 weeks. He's going to be there before we even get there. Like,
Jesus.
yeah, he's going to retire in 3 months. So he's basically like mentally already retired.
Oh,
And he was like, "I'm just going to fly down there, whatever, do what I want to do." And then when you get down there, he's like, "I'll get a hotel room near Phoenix," which he did. And he's like, "I'll just, we can split the room." So, and he's like, "Well, get a couple, queen beds or whatever." Like, all right, that's fine. So then I think as the week goes on, I'm just going to move to the media hotel. But I figure in the meantime, what the hell?
well, that's nice. That'll be some fun. Some good. Is he like retiring to that part of the world, or is he? Just...
No. He just likes going down to Arizona, Texas. Like I said, he's a huge outdoorsman. He loves to bird. I mean, he like to the point that like I've actually every once in a while I'll get sucked in. I'll hang out with him, and like somebody like out here in Illinois, he lives in New York. Will be like, "Oh, are you Lance Verderant?" Like people know who he is like nationally because he's like legitimately that good at it.
Really?
Yeah, it's kind of funny. Like people like know who he is. Yeah, he's on all these different Audubon Society things, and like people
That's crazy.
Stop him and be like, "Hey, I know, I saw your face on this thing." Like, so
your dad sounds like an interesting human being. That's pretty cool.
You would never in a million years picture him as if you knew him, you'd be like, "That really?" Like he's like the ultimate like sports guy. That's what he's into. But yeah, he's also like huge nature guy. So.
Good for him. Good for him. Everybody needs a hobby. That's awesome. I did say I would try to ask you something you haven't been asked yet before you got to go. I know I'm sure your daughter's waiting to tackle you or play some sort of game. Yeah. Frank Reich hiring. What do you think of it?
Good. I think Frank Reich deserves a second job. I thought Steve Wilkes, did about everything imaginable to get that job. I don't know what else the poor guy had to do, and he was classy about it this morning on Twitter. Look, I think Reich's a good coach, and now Josina Anderson of CBS is reporting that Fangio is strongly considered there, and that would be great for the Panthers if they get Fangio.
Hell of a duo.
They just got to find the quarterback, but I think Reich. Look, he can coach. Reich is a good coach. The question's going to be, can they get the quarterback? They never got it in the after Luck retired. They never found that guy.
6 different starters in his 6 years.
I'm going to go ahead and guess it for Frank Reich. That is going to be the priority this offseason, bar none. Like whatever it takes. I like
they draft one or trade for one or perhaps both.
I think they'd like to trade up and get one. They're in the top 10. It's going to be really interesting, man. I think it's a good hire. I think Ryans, if he ends up going to Houston, that's always been kind of what I think a lot of people in the league have expected. I think that'd be a good hire by them. I do think, though, if they hire Ryans, who I think will be an excellent head coach, they need to find a strong offensive mind there because you're going to be drafting a quarterback.
Yeah,
you want to pair Ryans with a really good offensive coordinator. Just like I think Reich, it's smart to pair him with a defensive coordinator who's really strong. Like
I'd be intrigued to see if he brings Bobby Slowkick with him to Houston, assuming that is where he goes.
I think you got to find that offensive mind, who can work really closely with him every day. I will tell you this: I think it's a referendum on the 3 jobs that are still open. I mean, who wants these jobs?
Yeah.
Who wants these jobs, man? Like,
I mean, you look at the Houston job would be appealing just because of it's kind of a fresh start, all the draft capital, but Nick Casares is kind of like a nut.
Indy, Arizona, Denver.
Oh, okay.
Who the hell wants these jobs?
Yeah, I mean, it's a
hear about people with these jobs. Like, it's like you don't even normally. It's like they interview this guy. Now the Colts have interviewed about half the league.
Okay? Yeah, yeah.
But like, it's like Jeff Saturday or Eric.
Can you imagine if Saturday keeps the job?
Oh, I can absolutely imagine because I think Irsay wants him to keep the job. If you're Eric Bieniemy and you don't get that job because Jeff Saturday gets that job, do you just retire on the spot? Like, I mean, what? It's unbelievable.
Did Bieniemy interview for that job?
Yeah, he's like a finalist for the job.
Oh, okay.
I got to tell you, I really would not like. They can't do anything about it. But the NFL league office, if there is any way they can be, hey, Jim, listen. Like, we're not saying Jim, but we're just saying. Jeff Saturday, really? I mean, after what we just witnessed, really. So yeah, he's I mean that job nobody wants that job because Irsay's a loose cannon and they have no quarterback. Denver, everybody's like, oh, Peyton. How's that going? I mean, Walton's got more money than God, and they can't get anybody to go there because who the hell wants to be attached to Wilson? Nobody's going to say that publicly.
Yeah,
but let's just be honest about this.
Call a spade.
Nobody wants to go there because Wilson is looked upon by a lot of people in the league as irredeemable. And then Arizona, Bidwell's never been known for laying out a bunch of money. Kyler Murray is a guy that I think people think is talented, but I don't know that they're overly excited to work with. It's a rough roster overall. We got some receivers. That's about it. Now they're talking about trading Hopkins out of there. Like those three jobs, I think are going to go to three guys who really don't have a lot of other options. I mean, if they want to be a head coach. I mean, Bieniemy.
I think a lot of what you're saying is why guys like Ben Johnson were just like, I'll stay in Detroit.
Yes, 100%. And if I'm Sean Payton, I'm looking at those three jobs. Are you kidding me? I'll wait a year. I'll collect a check from Fox and from the Saints, by the way, and I will wait a year. And if you're the Saints, you're going, cool. You're going to get compensation either way. You signed for 2 more years, buddy. Have fun. I don't think there's any. If I'm Sean Payton, there's no way I'm taking one of these three jobs.
I'm waiting. I'm assuming that Dallas or the Los Angeles Chargers job will be open, and I'm going to the highest bidder in 2024 if I am Sean Payton.
Absolutely. Why? I mean, no. It's to me, man. It makes no sense if Sean Payton gives it. And all these people are like, but money. He's getting paid by Fox and the Saints. He's not starving. Like, he's probably making $25 million this year. Like, he's fine. He's going broke. So I think if I'm him, man,
I'm gonna keep going on Cowherd every Monday or whatever the hell it is. I'll chill on the Fox studio on Sundays with Michael Strahan, and
I'll wait for the Chargers or Cowboys, or if McVay decides to leave the Rams, I'll go to LA. Like, I'm not going to Arizona or Denver or Houston, or not Houston, Indianapolis. For what? So Mahomes can kick my teeth in that division for the next 10 years? I mean, the AFC South is not a strong division, but that team with that ownership, like, if I'm Sean Payton, I'm not going some reclamation project. Like, I'm good. I'll wait my turn.
All right. Said you give me a half hour. I took you a little bit over. My apologies.
It's okay.
Yeah, buddy. I will see you Monday. I'm looking forward to it. Yeah, it'll be a lot of fun.
Sounds good.
All right, pal. Well, hey, I hope the best for your mental health this Sunday. I'm just ready to get this game over with. I'm sure you are too.
Yes.
And yeah, next time. I mean, I gave you my picks. I think it would be the Andy Reid Bowl. I think it'll be Chiefs Eagles. Have you released your picks yet for Fansided?
Yeah, I have the Bengals and the Eagles. I think if the Chiefs play their best game, they'll win. But I have a rule that if one team always beats the other one, I'm picking them out of respect until it goes the other way.
Sure.
So that's how I feel about that game. I think that game is, if Kansas City plays its best, it moves on. But they've got to prove they can do it against this opponent because they haven't done it. So prove it.
I'm very much looking forward to betting my little butt off on both these games, considering we're running out of weeks to do so. So
have fun.
Fingers crossed for the same game parlays. See you guys after championship week to preview the Super Bowl and Senior Bowl coverage next week. Yeah, it's going to be a lot of it. So it'll be a lot of fun. See you guys till then. Pump fake. Matt. Oh, I'm so excited for next week, dude.
Sounds good, man. Take care.
Yep.